Welcome back to the GreenApps segment on Greenkeepers. I am Bryce Gill, Assistant Editor for Green Industry Pros, and back with me today is founder and CEO of SquareStack, Bill Furlong. As always, it is a pleasure to have Bill here, and he is back for an update to reintroduce GreenApps and its purpose. And recently you conducted a survey, so tell me what that was and maybe introduce some key findings on that.
Sure. Well, great to be back, Bryce. And yes, before we actually started the project in creating GreenApps, we went to your subscribers and asked them what technology they use and their challenges, problems, pricing issues, etc. So we used SurveyMonkey like most companies do, and we got a great response. And those results helped us shape our story, our strategy, and quite frankly, as we are doing today, share amongst our community the results of that survey. Because technology, as we all well know, is just very ubiquitous, and it's
taken over our lives.
Really, yes. And so we really need to get a handle on it so that we become more effective business people and consumers.
Yeah, so I mean, with some of those key findings, I know we looked into landscapers using all-in-one platforms such as GreenApps. What was what did we find with that questionnaire?
Yes. So at a top level, what's very clear is that the landscaping community at large is really embracing what is called the cloud. And that's basically software in the cloud, software as a service, and we found that an average of 10 different software licenses make up the stack, as it's called, of a landscaper. So clearly, this industry is embracing technology to get their job done, make it easier to get out in the field and do the work for their customers, but more importantly, make their systems more efficient. So it's a very encouraging story. As you know, we work in a variety of industries, and I'd say our team believes that the landscaping industry is actually a little further ahead than the mean, if you will, across all small business categories. So that was, I don't think it was surprising because of the nature of their work.
And so with this, with an all-in-one platform, what are some apps that we're seeing them use that would make up, that would help them and benefit them?
Sure. So I'll step back a second. And most small business owners, including Green Industry Pro subscribers, are using a variety of vendors, right? Of those 10 tools, they're likely to be 5 to 10 different vendors. And so what GreenApps does for our subscribers is consolidate all those different vendors into one platform. So we have seen many of the subscribers say, I need that because I don't want to change my Google Analytics partner. I don't want to move off of MailChimp. I'm pretty satisfied with the tools I have, but I just don't know how to orchestrate them or save time getting into them. So the GreenApps platform is really an aggregator, so one could get in with one username and password and not remember or lose 10 access credentials. And B, the opportunity to see all the important business data emanating from all those tools, like bank balance, how many appointments were set by your team, supply chain reports on materials and tools. So just like a global CEO, you, the small business owner of a landscaping company, can see all that global CEO sees. Okay. So there are systems like True Green and Real Green, Aspire, which are all-in-one platforms, but you have to move from all your vendors to their unified solution. Mm-hmm. And often it's a little more pricey, and it's a lot of labor and commitment to an operational, often nightmare, to move off those other vendors to one. Does that make sense?
So that would be what separates you from like LMN and Aspire and all of these other platforms that essentially would require a landscaper or a small business owner to not use any of those other platforms, but to solely use that one platform. Whereas GreenApps will allow you to kind of bring all of those to one dashboard.
Yes, it's what we call vendor agnostic. So GreenApps has the robust ability to connect over 2,500 different business apps, from CRM to email to e-commerce to specific vertical industry, in this case landscaping software tools. So again, that's where we're seeing, certainly in the survey and our user numbers, our registrations, is that I don't have to move everything off. I now have a gateway, a system of record to manage all these new licenses that we are signing up for. And by the way, back to the 10 tools used, 75% of the respondents are spending about $200 or less on software. GreenApps is $10 a month. So, the mental leap of that incremental cost to make everything else work better is sort of a no-brainer. And then what's interesting too is over 10% of the respondent group are spending over $400 a month. So I think that may align to the size of companies within the industry. The bigger landscapers who are, getting to 25 to 100 headcount are spending more on software. So as they grow, obviously your technology commitments must grow.
What's some feedback that maybe you've received as far as, okay, well, if a company is growing, how is the software going to grow with them?
Yes. So what often happens, Bryce, is 65% of the actual respondents were owner-operators, right? So they're often craftsmen, craftswomen who are not only operationally focused, but they're out in the field, right? So typically, that person is running the software stack. They have the direct license to MailChimp, Shopify, Constant Contact, TrueGreen, and what happens is, at least with GreenApps, is they can allow access to their accountant, to their marketing, but as you grow, you have to buy more licenses, right? So that's where the cost goes up. You have multiple contacts points on the software stack. And quite frankly, what we see is if CRM, of course, is sort of the inflection point. Once small businesses sign up for a CRM system, customer relationship management software, they are really embracing technology as their friend. And thus what happens after that is more tools are added. A social media monitoring tool, a couponing tool. So it's once you get your rhythm, you're going to see the cloud as your friend and not, say, a few years ago, as the enemy.
So let's circle back here. What are some things that we've heard just from our more recent subscribers to GreenApps? What are some things that they were looking for, were able to find in GreenApps, or things that maybe they're still looking for?
Sure.
Is GreenApps able to evolve?
We are always looking at the data, right? And looking at how users are engaging the platform. And what we have found that the average visit, if you will, have 16 events per visit. And what does that mean? That means they're looking at green industry professionals' content. We have a news feed within the UI, so that's very popular. Clicking open the bank balance, the line of credit, anything financial is getting a lot of engagement. Followed by marketing tools, so checking out how many folks responded to your newsletter, how many customer service calls came in through chat, right? Facebook, social media. So we're seeing interaction with all the data tiles, as we call them, for marketing and financial. And then what we have is called single sign-on. And we see an average of 5 click-throughs, if you will, of folks going through the icons within GreenApps to go do the heavy work within, say, Twitter, doing posting, or QuickBooks. And by the way, QuickBooks is by far the most subscribed to software of the audience and the most active engagement of software. You wonder why, right? Yes, that's payroll and vendor payments, AP, AR, aging. It's pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
Yes. So as I said, QuickBooks is clearly at the top of the list. Bank accounts, line of credits. GreenApps allows access to over 1,500 banks. So we're likely to have the bank the subscriber uses. We find Gmail and Outlook pretty balanced as the most popular email platforms. What's interesting is project management tools are a little higher in this market than I anticipated. And so Basecamp, I don't know if you've heard of, or Trello, they seem to be the leading with over 50% of the audience using project management software. So I think that you could intuitively make the leap that because so much of a landscape project is very detailed, that's where that's happening. And then CRM, 50% plus have a CRM platform. But this is what's interesting. There's no real leader. They're using tools like Zoho, Fresh Sales, back to Basecamp again. So that's interesting. There's no one player that's really taken over the industry. And then email marketing, MailChimp is very popular, of course, as it is in many markets. And in social media, what's interesting is many landscapers have websites, but they're almost using Facebook and Instagram as their gateway websites, if you will. So they're running booking software through their Facebook pages. They're selling through their Facebook pages.
Social media, there's a broader spectrum than just the amount of people or selection of people that go and visit your website. Like that is now becoming a platform, what feels like specifically for businesses, Facebook in particular, and even Instagram is making its way in that regard as well with IGTV. And I think with landscapers, a lot of it is a visual thing.
Yes.
People want to see their lines.
Yes,
they want
Instagram
to see that.
specifically to see their projects and see the before and after.
Yes, it is satisfying.
Yes, but and those bushes perfectly sculpted.
Yes.
And what's really interesting is it seems a lot of the paid advertising landscapers are now doing is on Facebook. Yeah. You remember, the boomers of small business, Yellow Pages, right? Or flyers, direct mail. I mean, a lot of them probably are doing the latter, but Facebook allows extreme targeting capabilities within your locale, as well as what are called psychographics, folks that are, either affluent or they want to, they have hobbies like gardening, etc. You could use those kinds of signals to target prospects. It could be the millennial small business owners driving this, but they're sophisticated in their advertising. And Facebook is the platform that they're doing it.
Let's bring it back into GreenApps. How accessible is this platform?
Yes, so we're fortunate enough to have great visibility within the Green Industry Pros portfolio. We're on the nav bar of the website, so you can see the GreenApps right there. Click it and register. You get a 60-day free trial, and then boom, you convert to a paid $10 a month. And again, as I said before, the average $200 spend, you're just adding a little bit more to make all these things work better. And of course, we're doing these great videos and podcasts. We occasionally run ads as well. And we offer the book that we've talked about in our series here, Appify Your Business, which is a great handy guide for any small business owner in any industry. Just how important it is to embrace the cloud, as it's called, or quite frankly, your toast. It's just an essential toolkit in today's post-COVID world, if post-COVID is even a word yet. It may be just unending. Small businesses are looking to manage their costs better, their headcount, their ability to get out and do their craft. If they could find a way to make their operational responsibilities more efficient, less painful, quite frankly, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Right.
And then I'd also like to comment on where they're working, which was an interesting finding, is I was surprised. It looks like 50-50 split between the office and in the field. And that's just back to my point, I guess, right? Is, I want to be out in the field. And I think there's, especially with COVID, could have biased that a bit.
Yes, definitely.
But the point is that there's a lot of detail when you run a small business.
So I know in earlier video segments, we kind of talked about service industry people are spending less time in the office and filing and all that stuff. They can actually be out there and gaining revenue and monetizing their services and such and so forth. So that is a really good point that you make. I'm like, okay, put it all in one place. Yes. It's easier. It's a lot more accessible. Like you said, it's mobile. You can put it right there on your cellular device, so you can do it on the job even.
Many small business owners, it's a day-to-day battle. Cash on hand. I've got new vendors. I've got to pay them up front. So the ability to see on your mobile phone all your real-time financials, as well as your marketing and your sales forecasts. I mean, that's the way it needs to be. Yeah.
So let's wrap up this last GreenApps segment on Greenkeepers with you, Bill.
Yes.
What is your tip of the day?
Tip of the day is, I say, just like I do every morning, is if you have GreenApps, well, if you don't have GreenApps, get it. But if you have it, just start your morning, open it up, check out all your data, read the news, the tips, and then you could dive in and do any specific work that you want to before you tackle the day. I use SquareStack for my business. We're 20 people plus. I start my day. It's in my calendar. Check my stack and go to work. So I think you have to have a ritual.
For more Greenkeepers videos, visit gpros.co/videos.